gonna do it good. We're gonna do it straight.
Yep, we're gonna do fine.
Hello.
We're gonna do okay. Are we live?
Yes. I hate you every time.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Embers by Daybreak. Brought to you by Natural One RPG. We're back again. Turns out last week was also not a good week for us. Since
we're so far on an every other week schedule.
Right, which is unfortunate. No, I actually got some pretty severe food poisoning last week, and that's as far as we're going to disclose on that one.
Probably for the best.
Yep, probably for the best.
Yeah.
But other than that, fun little quick news. New things are going to happen to the channel in the future that are
we got
very
a new show
about.
this week.
Yes.
Woo-hoo!
Oh man, oh baby.
Tell us more, oh great inheritors.
Well, our YouTube channel's not just podcasts and VODs anymore.
Now it's a cooking channel.
Do you like
is.
Pokemon?
Well, we've
We've
got
got
playing Pokemon.
We've
Monster
got
Ranch.
Pokemon. That's right,
Yeah.
we're playing Pokemon Sapphire.
It's the blue one for those who don't know.
Except not blue. Oh, now I'm confused. Now we've made it confusing.
Regardless, we have that now on the YouTube channel, so we're doing that. And other than that, it's been a while. So let's do a quick recap of what's let's do a quick recap of to what's been going on recently with our performers here. So
I've got some
where we
notes
last
that
left
don't
off.
mean good things.
No, if you guys remember 2 weeks ago, it ended pretty well. All right.
Yeah, well,
Flashback
that was the
noises.
thing is, that whole problem happened at the beginning of it, so it ended fine.
Yeah. Okay. So at the last session, after encountering this strange creature that assaulted them on the deck of the Light Iron, the performers were then again accosted by two more of these said mysterious creatures that were seemingly made out of water and green foam bubbles. They, through many mishaps, managed to get through the encounter pretty alright, just with now emptier stomachs and with
one less first mate.
yeah, thanks to the worst odds ever, I managed to roll a natural 1, which is Q credits for this channel.
Prime number.
Right? Natural 1, and then I rolled a natural 100, which is the worst thing you can roll on a natural 1 chart. And
oddly enough, the most rolled on that chart.
Yeah, that has
Also
been
true.
that and nudity are the two things we have rolled the most.
Oh my god.
we know our
Glad-
demographics.
I'm glad.
Regardless, it's very Game of Thronesy. But anyways, death and sex.
Wait.
With the loss of the first mate, they further investigated the ship and found the body of a dead dwarf, seemingly having been there for some time, and a very dirty and confused young hobgoblin boy that they managed to convince to lead the side of this dead man, essentially, who it seemed to have grown fond to. And with that said, they all took the sinker back to the Ember. The path was surprisingly, they rolled really high for the trip back,
Yeah, we did.
because finally the muscles came out, and they came back only to find Captain Brand waiting for them on the deck of the ship, asking, with the last line of her saying, "Where's Silent?" So that's where we're gonna pick up again, as they're all standing there, a bit weary. Some of you still kind of sick. Some of you sick still on your person, as you might have not had enough time to actually clean it, or the fourth all to.
Yeah,
actually
well, we didn't
clean
want to
it.
clean it right at the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So you're
bad idea to bring water onto the onto the little boat, so we were left with little options.
So as you all stand here, Terry, you do feel a little something pinched the side of your pant leg, and as you look down, you do see the little boy kind of just grabbing onto you, as you just happen to be the closest one.
This is purely out of character. But what do you guys think our odds are that if we try to explain to the captain that he has transformed into this hobgoblin boy?
Oh no!
What's our over under on
we're
that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know, man.
It's off with our heads.
Hey, what?
I
You
mean-
give it a shot.
You guys can certainly.
I'm gonna say a phrase that I think is definitely not lying.
All right. And Captain Brand is currently standing there with her hands behind her back, about good 10 feet away from you all, looking at you as some of the as Tamith and we lost McKenna. As Tamith and a few of the crew members help get the sinker back.
I'll go.
What do you guys do?
Yeah, I'm gonna make. I'm just gonna at the answer to the question. I'm just gonna be like,
Mm-hmm.
Silent has been taken from us.
We have a lot to talk about.
Maybe the question we should really ask is why silent? You know, it's philosophical, really makes you think.
Do you want better?
Petrichor is right. There's much to this.
We really should just meet in your quarters now.
Yeah, the deck is not the place for this discussion.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea.
Let's see here. And as you all look, actually, you do notice, especially Nephra and Petrichor, you two do notice the fact that some of the crew members around you that are kind of helping get the sinker in and just meandering about doing their business have kind of slowed down in their pace, as if it kind of unconsciously eavesdropping on this interaction between the captain and some of the crewmates that just came back from the mission. See some of them, and Nephra, you're the one who sees this. On some of them, you do see the spark of interest as the words are starting to register in the crew's minds of what you're saying. And it seems that seemingly Bran has had the same thought as well as she stands there. Of course, you can't see any facial expression on hers due to the mask she wears. But effectively, she says, "Very well. Head on to my quarters. I will see you there in a second."
All right.
As she goes over to Tamith and kind of leans in close and kind of whispers to Tamith, who immediately kind of stiffens up at the moment they start interacting. So that's, I'm assuming you all are going over towards the captain's quarters.
Yeah, making sure the hobgoblin boy is in tow.
Mm-hmm. All right. He will remain with Terry as long as someone doesn't like make a grab for him, like reach out for his hand, something like that. But other than that, you all go towards the captain's quarters, and as you walk towards it, a very distinct thing is evident immediately in the fact that in the spot, the door itself seems unguarded on pretty solitary amidst this chaos that usually is top of the Embers deck during this time of day. And you realize it's because Silent isn't there. He usually makes it a habit to stay next to the door, usually when you go to the captain's quarters. And you didn't realize that his now that he's not there, it seems surprisingly empty.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
You find the door is unlocked, so you can all just enter on through.
I will just walk on in.
I'll follow nervously.
Should I take the guy in with us?
Yeah, yes, come.
Not sure if Patrick was saying anything. But
Yeah,
regardless.
sorry. Yeah, let's go on and.
Okay. And of course, behind you, Ginevra is following after. The strange weapons that you guys picked up from the light iron in her arms, the sword kind of collapsed onto her belt at this point, as the axe and the dagger are just being held loosely in her hands. But as you all enter, you find the room as it always is. Pictures of the previous captain here and there, relatively untouched, except the only place of activity being the bed and the desk. And as you stand there, about a few seconds after entering, you guys do hear the door close, and you do hear soft footsteps as Bran comes from behind you and then goes over to stand by her desk. Oh. Oh.
Boo-doo.
Oh, we lost her. All right. It's because the picture of Ernie Hudson's upside down, which is I did for a
Okay.
joke of Cloud on
curse.
the artwork for the cover of Fire Emblem Three Houses. Anyways. Oh, hey.
There we go.
We have visual.
Eh.
Windows has finished updating. And we cannot hear you.
Dude,
Quick.
hey, it
mine.
works really well. Censored her out. No, Dylan, you're not mine.
Partly
Get
you
out
can
there.
check
Get
your
out of the
Discord
box.
devices.
Why is there a zipper on your box, Dylan?
Nope.
Oh, it wouldn't
Skip
be
up.
an
I'm going back to here.
okay. It wouldn't be an Embers by Daybreak game
Without
if
technical
there wasn't
difficulties.
Oh, man.
copyright infringement. But
He
yes,
says as he holds a 7 up to the camera.
so as you all stand there, Bran comes up in front of you. There's a moment of pause before, very harshly, you do hear her say, "Explain everything now."
Captain, you have to understand that that ship wasn't right.
That's a good place to
There
start.
was these beings on the ship, and they had these really unusual powers. I mean, it made some people sick. I mean,
I can s-
all we knew is that we were fighting these creatures, and I turned around to look at Silent, and he disappeared into dust. I have no better way to explain it. Maybe one of these creatures had an ability. I don't know. All I know is that there was something really wrong with that ship, and I don't know how to explain it. You can use whatever kind of spells, magic, truth serum, what have you on us. We will all tell the same story.
Yes, they appear to be
I-
undead, which I find the most concerning.
She stands there, taking in everything you just said.
Obviously, there's more to that, but in terms of that would be after what happened to Silent.
So, let me get this straight. You all encountered some sort of creatures who you presume were undead. And in that altercation, Silent went down.
Yes.
He disappeared into dust.
Yes, faded away
It's
like the bunnies underneath
tru-
my bed.
Truly, I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it myself.
I mean,
I have no better
my
way to
family has done
explain it.
much research on many types of creatures, and no simple creature does that, but makes me more concerned then about what's around us and what's around that ship.
Good news is they go down like wet tissue paper if you control water.
Yes. They also, that I took note of, was they the foam that the creatures that was around the ship, some of it had a similar violet tint that we've begrudgingly become familiar with.
So are you saying that Silent is dead?
Yes, Captain. Silent is dead.
He's gone.
Yes, far be it from me to actually claim him dead, but not many people live after turning to dust now, do they? None that I've seen.
I came back, but
I'm sorry.
I don't know, but I think what he said was, we just have to wait like 5 years, and then someone has to pull the high.
it'll be fine.
I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, we're supposed to go on some type of entire adventure now to go find him. I think that's how the role technically is rated.
It'll take about 3 hours of cinema time. All right, pop culture aside. Bran stands before you, as she always has. Her hands behind her back, back straight, and the lack of facial expressions to go off of, giving you that ever-present feeling of not knowing what she's thinking, what her demeanor is, and this is something you all mostly grown accustomed to. But for the briefest of seconds, you do notice that her shoulders just drop ever so slightly. There's this very, very subtle change, but it's enough that for someone like her, it's almost as if she was yelling out for the world to hear.
I'm sorry, Captain.
There was entirely nothing we could do. We just turned, and it happened.
Nothing was left.
No, nothing that we could gather.
And I had.
Faded into the wind. Not even his clothes remained. His entire being. Away with the wind. Oh boy.
I'm trying not to sneeze right now.
Oh, do it. There you go.
You failed.
Goodness.
Okay, I'm good. All right. She stands there, seemingly regarding all of you now at this point. Moving her head to look at Nephra, then to David, then to Patricor, then to Terry, and then moving her head slowly down to the small little figure still grabbing onto Terry's pant leg, with black hair kind of obscuring its face, dirty all over, now a little bit shaking as you realize he's not wearing shoes and might be a bit cold. But as you see, you obviously can see Bran just looking down at this creature without taking her attention off it. He says, and who is that?
Apparently.
We found this poor child next to what seemed to be a caretaker that had passed away for some time. There was a small note that David has. He gave us the short and long of it, but yeah. But from what we can discover, that this child is the last of his kind to our knowledge. He's a they're a hobgoblin.
You're saying that this child is the last of a species?
As far as we understand, yes.
As far as we understand from the letter.
Let me see this letter. As she kind of holds out her hand out. David, Bran, everybody told Bran about the letter now and the boy as she started inquiring about. And she's holding out her hand right now to you, trying to asking to see the letter, essentially.
I'll give it to her.
Okay. She takes the letter and opens it up and starts looking down at it. After about a good second or so, she closes it up. So it seems as if the owner of this ship was some sort of smuggler. A repentant one, but one nonetheless.
Yes, the question I feel most concerned about is who it was that hired them.
We're of the same mind.
Being hired by a noble makes it very questionable to start. But then, for that same noble to hire pirates? Why? Cover tracks?
Plan on someone else.
Perhaps. We don't even know it might be a noble. Anybody with proper etiquette to most people will be perceived as someone of nobility. Well, all it takes is a little bit of schooling for someone to appear as such. Charlatans do exist in this world. Oh, what's left of that, to the very least.
Do that? Just go on a boat and lie?
Never pointedly
Yeah.
looks in the other direction.
Yeah, who would do that, right? What? 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 No!
What?
Lying
No!
on a ship? Who
Terry,
dare?
well, I would more than likely agree with you. I would be more hypocritical if I were to. As she looks at you through her mask, hiding her identity.
Really points that out, huh?
Yep. Regardless, it seems that there's an unknown player to this game that we don't even know we're playing.
Hopefully they don't know any type of disintegration magic. Otherwise, we're all in trouble.
Describe these creatures for me one more time. How did they look? Did they say anything? Were they possessed in any way? Were they being controlled? Any detail, everything, tell me.
I mean, hell, if I would know if they were controlled, but this borderline zombied people.
Seem to be made of, or a large percentage of their body was water, as I was able to dehydrate one.
Yeah, they ran almost on that sea foam.
Yeah, seafoam water, what have you. They look like they were made out of seaweed, though.
Which turns out disgusting. They cut you with their blade and you're sick to the stomach.
That would explain the smell.
Sorry about that.
I meant to clean them off.
But you know, getting water all over the schooner usually leads to bad times, so figured we'd wait until we got back.
What do you keep calling it?
What is it actually called?
The sinker.
Sinker. For some reason I said the schooner.
It's a play on words.
I don't know.
It was a
I'm
little
just thinking of
longer.
words,
It
alright?
definitely
I don't
doesn't-
remember
It's
all
an
these
ironic-
terms.
It's an ironic name, I should say.
I don't remember all these terms.
We're
Words?
gonna buy you.
Nah.
I'm not a Navy man.
Alright, that's fair. But, she nods once. Understandable, but... Oh, that's not important right now. Do we have any evidence of these creatures? Do they leave bodies? Is there anything we can examine?
We have these weapons here that Ginevra grabbed.
Jennifer kind of stands there holding the axe and the dagger in her hands, kind of like parallel to the floor. The sword still on her belt. I'm keeping the sword though. is what she says.
Can we at least examine it?
Oh
She's
yeah,
just
you
like,
can
but
take
these
the
are
axe.
mine.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't want the axe. Dagger's too small. Sword's perfect for me. As she kind of
You know what, I'm willing
tosses,
to bet there's not much of a difference between either one.
as she tosses the dagger onto the desk, lightly, not enough to make it like send it over
Pierces
to
the
the other
neck.
side, right?
Here's
And
the desk starts like opening its drawers and the stuff comes flying out.
I didn't roll dice for no reason.
No, I know what that roll is. I made that roll many times.
And with more sense, she puts down the axe more gently onto the desk, and she sends her arms crossed. Is that Mona?
Yeah, Kevin just got home. She's very excited.
Perfect. I would be too if it was Kevin.
Yeah, I can't blame her.
All right. As Bran looks down, she picks up the dagger first, and she observes it. And you see, despite the fact that this thing looks gaudy and the actual wood used as the hilt is almost rotted away, she's grabbing it without any issue or with any regard to sensibilities, and it looks more at the blade itself, it being this strange black, almost glass-like material.
But don't nick yourself on that. I don't know what's going to happen if you try to vomit while you have that mask on.
Valid.
I mean,
As
she
she-
could swallow it back, technically. It's not a
It depends.
really good thought, but
Based on the way it went for us, I don't think we have that option.
She looks at it, looks at all of you. Are any of you familiar with the weapon making in any of the other countries? Like the Kingdom of Espera, the Kingdom of Morin?
I don't know, am I?
And make a history check.
Aha! That's not very good.
Alright.
I forget if I have a history. I do have history, but it's not a whole lot, so it's only a 10.
Looks like a weapon.
I'll roll for it too.
Damn. I reached that
All right,
50%
go for it.
threshold.
History.
looks like a
Yeah.
weapon at a 10? Dang.
It looks like a weapon. You don't know.
Wait.
If it comes from
me,
anywhere.
me.
Oh, right.
I actually have my computer, so.
Okay.
To be fair,
we're
it's
gonna
very
make
difficult. So,
That is a tier 19 with a proficiency and a +2, so that's a 21.
21?
Mhm.
Hey,
Alright.
I know weapons.
Yeah,
Same.
you.
there's a
Well, true.
tier 19. I'm like, you want tier lists?
That's what I heard too.
No. Noting this, you can see that while this isn't this type of weapon making, the way it's made, doesn't seem to be privy to any particular civilization, at least from the ones that were previously established, from where you guys were. Nothing in the Kingdom of Espera matches this. Nothing in the or the Empire of Espera, I should say, matches this. Nothing in the Kingdom of Morin. Definitely not the Soskoan provinces. And the Golden Confederacy is pretty new, so they're pretty much borrowing everything else. The only thing that can come to mind is that you've heard of some primitive stuff being made from centuries back. You were taught this through your general schooling back when you studied at a certain place at a certain time. You would recognize this to be more of that primitive style of weapon making. It's very functional. It's not made to look pretty. It's as if the people had limited resources and grabbed out what they could get.
Sure.
The blade, however, with I'm gonna say with the 21, You can kind of guess what this material is. Looks almost like obsidian of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
or something akin to obsidian.
Okay. Interesting. I just relay that to everybody.
All right. You all marvel at the fact that Petrichor suddenly realizes what these weapons are made of.
Like, hold on a second.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Well,
You know, like with
the
adrenaline
price
pumping, now I'm
include.
sitting down and like actually examining
I
it.
can think. Nobody's fading into dust.
Exactly. Come on.
And Petrichor, you would also know this would explain why the sword itself isn't just the hilt and then a long piece of this obsidian material. Instead, it's the long stick with several sharp pieces of the obsidian material kind of stuck into it on either side to make that into more of a blade.
Interesting.
The dagger itself seems to be just a shard of this thing just attached to some sort of wood and bind it together. And as you relay that to Bran, she nods her head once, and then with a swift motion embeds it into the desk. All the drawers come out, starts spilling everything out. But the blade goes in easy, surprisingly enough. About half of the blade goes into the desk. And she moves her hand back and kind of regards it for a second. She doesn't look at the axe, though, as it seems like whatever questions she has been answered with that little demonstration. It's curious to know that the weapons themselves are the only things that survived.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they're not made out of sea goop. So I guess I wouldn't expect them to entirely.
So we've seen that these creatures originate from somewhere. Or rather, when they dissipate for some reason, some of their equipment doesn't. This is rather strange. And are you sure there's a connection to this violet, whatever you are calling it now?
Well, I don't know if we are 100% sure. It's just feels like it's the case.
So we're working with that assumption. Were there any other ships that seemed affected by the same creatures? Anything around that ship?
Not
We
that
didn't see
saw.
any other foam around any other ships quite like that, at least.
Mm-hmm. No, yes, this ship was entirely autonomous, but it was alone, pretty practically. Might as well have been on our own island.
I see. What happened to this ship?
We left it. It was there.
I think we left. Didn't we do some kind of ring to it?
We rung its
death
we
ring?
rung its essentially the ship's death toll, but when we left it, the ship was, I believe, still there.
I see.
Not that needed and deserved.
Well, at the very least, I'm glad that Terry could have gone. She's the most qualified for
She did her job well.
You should, afterwards, you should burn the ship. But we had no orders about that. So I can forgive you for that much. Well, now we stand at a very strange position, ladies and gentlemen. We're suddenly with our first mate. We have these strange creatures that are now assaulting some ships. And apparently there's someone out there who might be with us, who might be scheming against this armada. If this letter is anything to go by. which I'm half certain isn't. And it might just be the ramblings of a dying man.
Letter. What are we gonna do about this guy?
Well, I find it hard to believe that this is going to be that these are mere ramblings. With everything that has happened, I feel like we are not meant to consider many things off the table. For example, at this point, I feel like most of our problems, the idea of it being just a pure mutiny is by far the least of that possibility. The idea that there's more to it, I feel like lends itself to the ship, to this note, Silent's disappearance, everything.
I see.
All these
If
would
that's the
happen
case.
at the same time, and there's nobody trying to plot against us. That made me laugh.
It's been a curious turn of events, hasn't it?
In 3 days, these have happened.
A lot has happened.
3 days.
That's for sure.
Felt like weeks.
Correct. It did. But in fact, it has been hours.
D&D, everybody.
Things you don't think about when playing this game oftentimes.
I understand that I'm asking a lot of you all. And I'm subjecting you to some dangers out there that, had the mutiny not happened, I wouldn't have. You wouldn't be subjected to regardless. And I thank you all for your service, and for continuing to assist me at the ship. I will take care of explaining the disappearance of Silent to the crew. I just ask you all for your discretion and to follow the rules that we established once we first started having these conversations. Nothing leaves this room.
Absolutely.
Well, so if they ask us, do we just defer them to ask you, or?
Tell him the Silent's on a mission, an individual mission that he must undertake. One that regards the safety of the ship. We'll play that off, and then after a few days, it'll come back that he failed. And then we'll break the news to everybody. It's far too soon to give these people more bad news. When Captain Nora came by to visit, it raised more. But already there are tensions between some of the new crewmates and some of the old. Some of which might affect you in a little bit, Terry, as she kind of looks at you.
Yeah. Interview them? Because I'd rather not.
Well, somebody's had to ring the bell while you were gone.
It was not that.
Better not have.
Unfortunately, some grudges die hard, and Terry, I just ask you to be careful on the ship.
Ah, is that person you were having the sharing contest with the other day still on the boat?
No, he left.
They're long gone.
Rightfully,
thought.
he's a dick. Rightfully, he's a dick. I don't care much for the man.
Won. He left. I won.
Mhm. Indeed, you have,
What?
Terry.
How does the captain know about this person again?
The person that Terry was having a stern contest was the quartermaster of the Ashes.
Oh.
And then the ring builder. Yeah, that scared a lot of people.
And they also spoke with each other during that closed doors meeting in the cabin.
Right.
So don't worry, there are connections there. I made sure.
And well,
Yeah.
from a captain's perspective, it is slightly hard to not notice while there is this duel going on that for some reason these two
The duel
people
face
are
off in the
just
corner.
staring at each other.
With
Entirely
murderous
separate
intent.
from the group.
It's like, the fight's over here. Why is the murderous intent there?
Menacing.
To start posing this all of a sudden, it was rather odd. One of them shouted out a random song name, and all of a sudden the other one got sent flying 15 feet away. Regardless. Other than that,
The magic.
other than that, I'll give you your rewards later for your task for bringing me this information. As to what we do with the child. Actually looks down. I would defer to you, and I would ask of your opinions as I evaluate.
Oh, first things first, he's gonna need a name. Calvin.
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 Sure.
Sure.
Do you have a name, young one?
Yeah, I was gonna do exactly that. I was gonna ask the child if they have a name.
You see the child kind of look up at you, or at all of you really, because he stands at 2 feet tall. And there's a brief moment where he moves his head up, and then he kind of like jerks his head from side to side to get like an actual view of you all. The hair kind of just comes down like a mop on his head. And then after a while, you realize he's no longer getting the hair out of his face. He's just shaking his head no.
Well,
Calvin.
then Calvin it is.
Calvin it is.
Goblin.
Kind of pat him on the shoulder and be like, now that you're named, you're officially safe with us.
Oh. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We can move on. That's pretty good.
We can move on. Okay.
Okay, go. Here we go.
Second question. Why is he holding a dagger? You realize at this point, he's still in one hand, he's still holding onto Terry's pant leg. The other hand is still holding onto the dagger.
That was the relic or the
It was
family
something, but he
heirloom,
just...
if you will.
Yeah, I don't know.
from,
He held
the
it.
Guardian.
He held it. Wouldn't let it go.
Yes, so.
I guess his potential consistent fear of having to fight for his life versus some weird zombie creatures.
Holding me hostage.
Many of them many in that situation probably wouldn't drop their weapons themselves.
Sounds about right for Hop. As you see her kind of open one of the drawers and reach in, grab something and move it behind her back, and you then see her make her way around the desk towards the boy, and then you see her take a knee next to him. The boy kind of reflexively just takes a step back, kind of behind Terry, as this new person kind of approaches him. Without saying too much, she just holds out a hand, says, "Let me see it." There's a very distinct tone to her voice. As she says this, and there's a brief second where the child kind of flinches, and then very easily just hands the dagger over. She takes it, looks it over, and then with her other hand, she brings up the thing she grabbed, and you see it's a simple scabbard, a simple sheath. She puts the dagger inside, kind of tests it out, sees if it fits, which it does, nods once, and then hands it back to the child. And now you won't get cut. So now you can keep it. As she stands up, and then walks back to her position behind the desk. As the child kind of now holds on to the dagger, kind of closer now that it can. The boy will be under your care. That's all of you, since you all found him.
Well, based on the fact that we all go on to missions, what about when we are gone? You keep sending us to other ships. I would not expect to bring this child with us.
And as an astute observation, it's why Tamith will take care of him at that point.
Oh, what do we need
Tamith.
to introduce her to them then?
Tamith or Ursha? Maybe Ursha more than Tamith. Okay, maybe mostly Ursha. Yes, you see, for the first time, she cracks a joke with you all.
Probably best.
You have all definitely earned your rest. Go, clean up, eat something. Now have your rewards ready next time.
Amazing. Petrichor?
Hmm?
You remember the last time you doused me with water?
Yes.
Let's do it again. Come, Nephra! Yank him on.
Thank you, Captain.
Anytime. Ginevra kind of just stands there. I have a task for you, Ginevra. Okay. As you all kind of leave. Now you're on the deck of the ship.
Well, I have taken Nephra with me to get doused, so we're going near the
Yep.
edge of the boat.
All right.
I'm just gonna start just dousing them.
Nephra, in the brief second that you get pulled along, it happens so fast. You feel the tug. You're now outside. You look around. You have the familiar sensations around you. People moving stuff. Some shouts. The sea, air. The sea, salt air hitting your lungs and face. The noise you're accustomed to. Completely overloaded now. Once you get water blasted into your face. Wait, Petrichor, what are you using to get this water?
I feel like I would use just seawater, unless y'all have
Oh yeah, it's gonna be nice and salty.
prefer not to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd make sure not to get it in your mouth.
We have
I'll-
little
if-
other
if you have
choices,
to
really.
wash off your face,
Gonna smell
I'll
great.
create water for that.
I would say we have a few other options.
I'll just won't aim for the head. I'll just get your clothes for
Okay,
sure.
salt is cleansing.
Just get all off. I can't make any more water right today.
More importantly, getting the vomit off is what's important.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll just do that.
Is there somewhere that Nephra can like? You've almost never seen him do this, but Nephra's gonna like take the robe off, and can you like hang it up to dry somewhere after it's been like super soaked?
Sure. It hasn't been soaked yet, though. As you're all preparing yourself, lining yourself up, it's as if Petrichor has the water hose and she's about to blast you against the wall. You do see, Terry, you do feel the pinch on your pant leg kind of let go. And you see the young boy kind of stand between David and Nephra. And just kind of stand
Oh.
there.
Keep your eyes
Oh
covered.
no, you don't need to stand there. You're not covered in vomit. You can come stand by me, so you don't get wet. We can wash your hair later.
Otherwise, if you wish to get doused, keep those eyes covered.
He looks up at you, and all you see is hair.
I'm not repeating myself.
I think Sia's gonna be okay.
Does anybody have a
Hair
pet
isn't
bird?
gonna block water. Here's
I'm
his
gonna
hands.
try to get the kid to walk over to me, so he doesn't get wet, unless he
Alright.
doesn't want to.
That's why I told him it's his choice.
Yeah, it's your choice, but
All right. Well, let me see here.
It's your
See
choice,
how
bud.
clever this.
You want to get
Let's see how
water?
clever
Just
this-
cover the eyes.
Oh, that's funny. After a little bit, he nods and then kind of makes his way back over to you, Petrichor. And Petrichor, with your passive perception, you do notice this kid's filthy. He is
Yeah.
absolutely just. He has been taken care of.
yeah,
It's fine, 'cause
I would rather make water and give him a proper bath and shower and such, and then just squirt these guys with sea salt water.
Got it.
It's just their clothes are fine.
It's just their clothes on their bodies.
Yeah,
Hypothermia is nothing.
They're fine.
Not this time.
not this time of year.
We can deal with that. We're not stranded.
All right.
There are things
So
on
with-
the boat.
So with that said, Petrichor, do you give him warning when you're about to blast him, or do you just do it?
Say 1, 2, 3, let's go. Close your eyes.
Hold strong, Nefra.
And-
Nephros hanging on to the glaive with all of his strength.
The force at which the water hits you isn't too bad,
Like, it's not gonna be that strong. I'm not gonna push you off the ship.
although it would be funny, and I might make you roll for it.
But I won't do that.
But I'm a merciful god, and regardless. Yeah, as Nephra and David get doused in this water, David, you get the little tingly feeling all around you again. Just
Uh,
feels weird.
I was gonna say more related to the one I had when fighting the monster, or like the purple monster, or
No, when you get the tingly feeling, that happened when Petrichor dropped a bunch of water on you.
I can't fight this feeling anymore.
When you when you got high school pranked and you had a bunch of water just dumped on you.
I recall that one.
Yes,
Was
that
that
same.
supreme embarrassment?
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
light.
Personally, I believe I took it a little more like the. Since I was singing sea shanties at the time, I felt I took it more like the music video.
Like head back,
Where I'm
closing.
just, like it came
splash.
back, and I'm just like, "Woo!"
But yes, as you're doing that, off to the side you do hear crazy kids as you see a certain dwarf with a kettle just you're drinking there merrily without a care in the world on the bow of the ship.
I felt like my character's mood towards this guy is entirely the video of the guy pointing at like as he gets tased and he points at the woman. It's like, "I'll get you, bitch." Every time this old guy shows up, it's this. I am him. Like one day.
Oh, you bring up a hand and you start pointing at him and you're about to say something and then water gets on your face. As you do remember, Petrichor warned you to keep your mouth closed.
Mm-hmm.
But after a good 15 minutes of casual dousing,
Waterboarding.
yes, essentially, the torment ends, and you're all roughly soggy. Just on top of here, water kind of sprayed out. Unless Petrichor, you decide to just move it all back into the ocean.
Yeah, I'll just move all the water back in the ocean.
All right, and
All right,
you
never
two.
try off.
Never just shakes his whole body like a dog.
I wish I could
His
destroy
white hair's
water,
like
but
pooped out.
I'm all out, guys.
That's fine. I'll go hang my coat, hat, shirt. I have the
Look like
undershirt
a
on.
red Macy Gray with
I'll
thorns.
hang the undershirt. This is where you start to notice that I wear way more clothing than you think.
This guy's got Civil War reenactor all over him.
In my ruffled shirts.
And I know my best friend's a Civil War reenactor. They put on a lot of equipment to do that.
It's a little like that.
You're just taking all this clothes off on top of the deck.
You guys?
We have to hang them.
I mean, yeah. Yes.
Where are they to air dry? But the deck.
Well, you go downstairs.
Oh, you're right,
change some
Petrichor. We
clothes,
should
bring
just
up
throw
the wet
them in the
clothes.
dryer that we clearly have down below deck. You know. That
Oh.
Or I
just
can
makes a lot
leave
of
them
sense.
here, and I can change, and then I can go down and change.
Be it as you may, whatever. What we should get is this little tyke some clothes.
That is definitely well.
A bath. first.
Who is to help bathe him? I don't know the proper. I don't know the proper caretaking procedures for this. Is it good? Is it cool if people like me do it? I don't know the procedure.
It's the weirdest thing. Nephra's just gone.
Oh boy. Dodging responsibility.
Had no idea.
Nephra, as you're walking away, as you make your hasty escape, go ahead and make me a perception check.
It's not my
Yeah, sure.
child. No, I don't know. It's cool.
Perception.
Just trying to keep
That
things
is
kosher
gonna
here.
be- There we go. 18.
18. As you're making a swift exit away, mostly just sogging, you surprisingly you make this pretty quietly as you're walking with like wet boots, effectively. You do notice a set of 3 what look to be Derekai kind of off in the distance, over by the poop deck. Mostly on top.
For everyone's attention to the webcam, we'll just go ahead and again, yeah.
Oh no, the
31
counter.
days. Erase. There we
Oh,
go.
are we? Did he laugh at poop deck?
Yep.
What was the other phrase now that's added to the board?
Sack, I think was the other one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I
Amazing.
chortled unusually long for when Sack was used in the other campaign. Sack. Anyways.
And it may come again.
Right. Anyways.
On the
Nephra,
plus side,
as
you can't go less than 0.
watch me.
You will try.
I'm gonna laugh at Sack so much, I'm gonna make this go back in time.
That's the secret. That's how we get Silent back.
Time travel. Why didn't we think of this?
But yeah. So Nephra, as you're walking away, you see these 3 almost Derekai looking figures staring in the direction of where the rest of the performers are. With an 18, though, you can notice that they're looking at one particular person.
Who are they looking at?
They're all focused on Terry. And you do see these 3. There's 1 female and 2 males. The female being the biggest, as in she's built. She is the perfect definition of someone who works out every day. And you see long black hair, almost like a mane, kind of. Eyes fierce, arms crossed, looking forward. Several scars on her arms. Next to her is a medium height man. Similar black hair, not as prominent, but still there. Reaching to the bottom of his shoulder blades, while the female's reaches almost to her lower back. Both of their hairs are kind of disarrayed, but that's per usual, especially now with everybody being at sea for 2 months. Hairstyles are kind of not too focused on. But he seemed more stern, rather, instead of just fierce. He seemed observant. The last person, kind of hunched over, hands in front of in front of him, kind of just fidgeting about. Seemed to be kind of stepped back to everybody, possibly portraying a more a more minion sort of aspect to his personality. Again, similar dark hair. The shortest of the three. But he does have his fair share of scars going around his body. And as always, you can see the prominent faded stripe-like patterns on their skin. That
Are they
discerns them as
looking
Derkai.
at Terry with like a look of disdain, or is it one of like curiosity?
You actually are not sure. As the perception check was just for you to see it, but if you'd like to investigate further, I can have you make a roll for that.
Yeah. Nefer's gonna kind of walk up to them, but he doesn't want to get their attention.
All right, no worries. Make me,
Walks up near them.
since you're trying to determine what their mood is, go ahead and make me an insight.
Oh. That's a 10.
That's a 10.
Mm-hmm.
They look. It's not a positive feeling, but you can't discern anything else from that. They're watching her. And they all seemingly have thoughts in their mind, but you have no idea what those thoughts might be.
Idea.
After a while, though, you do see the built female kind of look over to you, and with almost feline-like eyes, as her feline-like eyes kind of look at you and almost right through you, as you can feel the overwhelming pressure of just being stared at by this fantastic specimen of a Derkai woman.
If your eyes matches what your eyes can do, you'll probably move like
All right, we've done it.
And the finger 11.
We've gotten to figure 11, everybody. Oh, it took 5 episodes.
Yeah!
We're here.
Terry, it's a shame you already have inspiration.
Never stop.
10 episodes in, we've gone finger 11. We only needed one more episode, and you blew it.
It's a prelude.
So I'm being stared down by this Derkai right now.
Yep, and you can tell she is pretty perturbed by the fact that now you're staring at her.
I use thaumaturgy to turn my eyes black. And like
This is the correct thing to do.
Weirdly like crystalline. So they
Uh,
almost look like
Actually,
it's
you don't really
kind of like
fit them all.
moving in place. So it's really unsettling, like shaking going on with my eyes.
Go ahead and make me an intimidation check with advantage.
Sure.
As you're using thaumaturgy and how it should be used. Instead of how I always use it by just opening doors, because I'm above opening doors.
Oh, advantage. That's a little better.
like a peasant.
What was that, Nefra?
16.
16. Well, she rolled a natural 1, so here we go. All right.
Yeah, Nefro's just like tightly gripping the glaive, like staring her down, not blinking, and his eyes are just like completely black, but they have this crystalline texture to them, and they're like shaking slightly.
All right, let's see how bad this woman messes up with her natural 1.
Oh.
Hey.
She turns to dust.
Dust, yeah.
Gonna have a hard time.
Hey, we have our
explaining that
alibi
one.
is entirely we're good. We like you can't be like, oh, they made up this weird story about somebody turning to dust. What does that happen? All of a sudden, shh. Oh
I'm
God.
not sure what happened, Captain. I just stared at her with my demon eyes, and then she disappeared. I have no idea whose fault it was. Time for me to jump off the ship.
All right, with 74. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, all right. So, as you're now kind of glaring back at her with these blackened eyes, you do see
Just like frowny Squidward face.
Okay. You see that she's actually wearing a small little pendant that kind of glows a little bit. Yep. And then as you stare and you see her eyes kind of like widen more, as now you see a little bit of fear in her eyes as well. You see the little shiny pendant flash once and then dull,
Oh.
as you've effectively destroyed the enchantment on that equipment, or inadvertently caused her to lose that magical item.
Okay. I'm
Uh,
just gonna revert my eyes back and go on my way.
You see, even before you start doing that, she quickly just turns her eyes away from you, more panicked than before, moving her eyes away to the nearest thing, which you assume to be the dwarven man drinking out. Yeah, she's trying to find somewhere else. But yes, so now you leave.
I leave.
Everybody else. David, you're still undressing yourself on the deck.
It's just mainly the top half. Let's not get too excited.
Okay.
Ow! Damn it.
I don't know, David. Go ahead and make me a just a plain charisma check.
A flash dance.
Sexy from my shirt.
Just a
Too sexy
plain
for my-
charisma check.
Yeah.
Yes. And your charisma modifier. Yes. Share with
Nothing.
the class.
Nothing. 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 I may have rolled a 54.
Wait. Why'd you roll? Wait.
Why did I roll a D100, Franny? Why did I roll a D100?
No way.
Oh, he ugly.
On the plus side,
no.
it's still a 6 on the D20 roll. Even when I fail, I'm almost average.
Oh my god.
Relatable.
So if 54 is nudity, that'll be really funny.
No.
Oh.
But just remember when I say when next time I say this is because of Dave, this is David's fault, you'll know what happened with that natural.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yes.
Well,
Spoilers.
there's two it could be, but both are similar and not amazing.
No, so great things happen in the future, regardless of the fact. Nobody pays you mind as you're starting to take clothes off. Maybe one or two people. A guy looks over like, all right, and keeps walking.
I just kind of like look at least one of the two staring at the deck. I'm just like, watch this for me. Oh, strange music is coming from somewhere.
Right. Someone vomits off in the distance.
I'm just kind of like, do me a favor. Keep an eye on it. I'll be back.
All right, and
I
then
go
David,
to my quarters.
All right, the shared quarters with all the male staff. All right,
Well, you know they can deal with it.
that's fair.
People have
And
to
now-
change. People have to change in there anyway.
And now it leaves Terry, Calvin, and Petrichor just kind of standing there looking at David's
Hey.
clothes.
I was yeah.
So,
I'm just gonna leave them and walk away.
Ouch. No help for your
I'm picking up
homeboy.
your clothes.
I didn't ask you to pick him up. I asked you to keep an eye on him.
That's what everybody else is here for.
alright,
I'm
do
sorry.
we?
I got spells to refill.
They're nefarious beings, though. No.
I'm gonna have Calvin sit down in front of me and try to give him a haircut.
Good idea.
All right.
I was gonna ask if anybody had a sharp object.
Okay, let's not be asking about sharp objects already. All right,
I do, but I don't think I
let's
should
calm
use
down.
it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what a smaller sword, what have you. I don't have a dagger. I don't have sharp objects on me.
Petrichor.
Only hurt
Oh
for
yeah,
a moment.
you're right. However, Terry, you do have a couple of daggers with you.
Don't use the extremely dangerous ones.
Just tape them together and make scissors.
Yeah.
A razor.
Find a way to hinge them together, put a pin in it, and they just, easy peasy.
Oh yeah. So you try to give Calvin a haircut. Calvin kind of sits there, kind of resigned
Give him a
to.
fade.
Well,
Yeah, resigned to his own fate.
right. As he's not aware of what you do. There's a brief moment of justified fear as you start approaching him with a sharp object.
Come to me, boy.
Ever heard of frosted tips?
No.
As
It'll be
who's the one primarily doing the hair?
Seems to be Terry.
Terry.
Terry. Go ahead. Let's see what you're good at. You're proficient in ship bell.
Are you proficient in barbery?
Go ahead and make me a dexterity check. Just roll d20 and add your dexterity modifier.
Yeah. 19 total.
19 total. Okay. What haircut are you giving this little child?
So his hair is just extremely messy in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a slight feathering, a light part down the middle with bangs above the eyebrows. Make sure it's above the ears as well. Not a page cut, mind you. A light feathering with a slight parting down the middle.
Sure, a flow. So it has a little bit of flow going, I get to.
All right. Petrichor, this is really surprising that Terry somehow has a knack for a haircut.
Terry, you should really consider this as your hobby. You're quite good.
My hobby is shit belt, but thank you.
No, that's not your hobby. That's your job.
Her job is to ring the bell. Her job is to ring the bell. Her hobby is cutting hair.
Exactly.
All right. And
No, I cut my own hair with water. It just does its own thing.
She water pressures it.
I have many questions.
That's water.
Just water.
Many questions come to mind.
All right. And after about a good 30 minutes of doing this, there's now a bunch of dirty black hair on the ground. As you notice, there's actually a few little creatures living in that hair. The more you cut it, as this kid definitely had ticks. Or I think they're called ticks, right? Is it ticks or mites? Lice. Thank you.
I was saying
As he
ticks
definitely
are,
Bad.
I mean, they can be there, but there's generally not multiples living in someone's
concerning.
hair. Yeah, that'd be this boy would be dead.
Yep.
Fair.
As a dead child.
Valid.
But yes, he's now looking cleaner. You see him look around. His eyes are now, and you see two almost yellow tinted eyes kind of look up at you, Terry. Almost all stuck, as he can now seemingly see everything.
There we go. That should last you a good 3 months at sea. Would you mind getting rid of this?
Can you repeat that one more time, Terry?
Of course, you can wash the hair away.
Yeah, I mean, I can't create any more water today. I have to go to sleep and do it in the morning.
We'll leave it for the ship hands. Whoever's job.
Just leave the hair out on the floor. Screw it.
But yeah, the hair, I mean, I would say if there was birds around, they would pick it up, but I guess there's really no.
No, actually, curious note about that. Now that you mentioned birds, you haven't seen birds in the last month and a half.
As I figured.
Because birds are a figment of the government's imagination.
There was a
Oh,
day.
goddamn.
Yeah, there was a week called the Week of the Falling Gull, and some of the seagulls that were following you all kind of succumbed to the elements and kind of just came raining down on ships.
Festival, them go to eating.
Oh God.
You guys did eat well that week too.
Yeah.
All for everybody.
And it tastes like chicken. But regardless,
Cockroaches of the sky.
is there anything? Is there anything else you two would like to do with or to Calvin?
I'd love to give this kid a bath, but I have to go to sleep.
It's like
Yeah, actually, where is he gonna sleep? I can't have him up with me.
I mean, I'm sure he seems quite attached to Nephra, so I would assume he'd want to sleep near him.
That's a good point. Let's go. I'm gonna go show him to his room.
Okay.
I'm not there, so I can't say anything.
all right. As you begin escorting the child away, Terry, Petrichor, make me perception checks, won't you?
Yes. 1 segundo. Oh, that's a whopping 2.
Dude, no
Wait,
way! I got a
add
5.
something to that real quick.
Strong, Dave.
That's a 4.
All right, a 4. And Terry, what was it?
Cooking with gas.
5. Nice.
We're good at seeing things.
Everything seems fine. As
Yay.
unbeknownst to you, one of David's shirts kind of flies off in the.
Damn it.
He
My
has
crush
so many
above
ruffly
it.
shirts anyway.
It was like his second outer shirt, so he's fine.
It's fine.
Strong.
It's a poofy Seinfeld shirt.
Arguably the least well maintained. You're sure he wouldn't miss it if you actually saw it fly away. But you continue down and you start leading the boy to the lower quarters. Now, with that said, Nephra, since you were the first one to go away, is there anything you'd like to do?
I am going to go find Nina and Cliff.
Okay.
Somewhere around.
You go down to the lowest deck, which is the storage one, which is also their makeshift office. You go there, you don't find him there. Next bet is Quillith's room. You go up there, you also don't find him there.
Okay. I wonder where they put him off to.
Your last bet would be either the mess hall or even potentially the actual bedroom or the female quarters where Nina would sleep.
I imagine they're probably down in the mess hall. They might be grabbing a bite to eat. I'll head down there and take a look.
Alright. As you start walking down, Nephra, with your passive perception, you walk by several of the other crewmates that or shipmates that are with you. One of them, or one or two of them, seem a little, under the weather, which is fine. Once in a while, they get like this, whether it be just a random fit of diarrhea, just seasickness gets everybody once in a while. You never quite get used to it, especially with these waves. For the briefest hint of, for the briefest seconds, you could swear there's some coloration to one of them. One that you're kind of familiar with. But just as quickly as you see it, the person has already walked away to
Is
the
it
other hall.
green or purple?
Couldn't tell. The halls are kind of dark. Even with dark vision, you can only see gray.
Okay.
Just a little note for you.
Off I go.
So now you're kind of just standing there. Further down the hall would be the mess hall, unless you want to do something else.
No, straight to the missile.
All right. You go into the mess hall. Immediately, you are met with the sounds of casual chatting and dining, as it's around here. It's around lunchtime at this point, at least late lunch. Some people are eating, talking. It's probably the most active time on the ship. And you see Ursa kind of walking around, uh, scolding people for eating too much. And giving out portions that she's required to do, and one or two helpers from some of the younger folk that came onto the ship, having been turned into kind of her the proper kind of just helping hands to serve food and whatnot. You do see Nina sitting at a table with Quillith, and they seem to be discussing something off to the side. You don't see any papers up, but you do see 2 plates. It looks like they're just having lunch.
I'm gonna grab a plate of food and try to join them.
Okay.
But do
You
it
come
as
face-
surreptitiously as possible, as if I do this like all the time, even though I never.
Okay. As you go grab the plates, you get one of the wooden plates that you have that's been reused countless times. And one of the hands from a 10-year-old girl kind of just dips a ladle into a pot and kind of pours some sort of stew into the plate. You think it's fish. You hope it's fish. And then gives you one better and then sends you on your way. As you approach the table, how do you go about this?
The same way I did in middle school. I'm just kind of gonna slowly walk forward. Can I overhear anything that they're kind of saying right now?
They're speaking in hushed tones. Let me see what languages you know.
I know a couple.
You do. You don't know this one though. You can recognize it. It's definitely Elvish. And you see, as you approach, while Quillith, she speaks in these full sentences in Elvish, albeit a little bit slower than one would normally speak. You do see Nina also following along, but her Elvish seems to be a bit more broken, as if she's slowly learning it as she goes along. And so, awkwardly, you take a seat next to, I assume, Nina, unless you're being very bold and sitting next to Quillith.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna sit on Nina's side, but at the far end of the table,
Mm-hmm.
and then just kind of like slowly scooch my way closer to them,
Okay.
as close as I can get without them noticing me there.
So, Nephra, as you do this, as you start inching closer, a random ship hand kind of just leans in and is like, "Oh, sorry then, mate," as he sits down between you two. As he kind of left the gap, sets his plate down, and then on the opposite side, another ship hand, a woman also sets her plate down, and then they're having a conversation as they're sitting down. And now you're somewhat close to him. He doesn't seem to mind, though. As I unfortunately rolled pretty high for that possibility. I mean, there is room on the other side if you want to hazard that.
I'm gonna, Never's gonna sit there for a moment and then be like, "Oh right, I forgot about that thing. I should do yeah." And he's gonna get up and just like super awkwardly move to the other side of the table, and as he's walking over, be like, "Oh, that's right, I got it already. Silly me. Let me just sit back down here and sit down next to Philip."
Okay.
Silly me.
Wait, you sit down next to what?
I'm such a klutz, dearie me.
Oh,
Yeah. I sit down
Okay.
next to Fluff.
I every time you were about to say a name, you always cut
Sitting
out.
down next to Quillith.
Quillith.
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah.
I see. As you sit down, the conversation stops as they kind of both look at you. Nina with surprise and Quillith with actually just surprise as they see you. As Nina pipes up, "Oh, Nephra," and Quillith kind of echoes that like, "Oh, Nephra."
Oh, hi! I didn't even notice that you guys were here. What a surprise! Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I'm just getting a meal. You know, gotta eat. You know, to live. How are things? How is everything going?
We're fine, Nephra. Why are you wet?
Right. Well, I had to wash my clothes recently because, they were not clean. I mean,
Explanation
I
of the
don't know
week,
about
everybody.
you. I don't know about you, Quillith. And he's got like this very slight smirk on his face. Like you can tell he never talks like this to people. But usually I wash my clothes as like a decency thing, and because I don't want to be a big smelly smell person.
Strong. Coming out strong.
In general, I mean, and Nephra's just gonna like blush a bit and then just like start eating some food and like not look at Quillith or Nina.
Nina, you see Nina kind of also has kind of a half smile as she, looking incredulously at you. Quilla has a smirk on her face as well as she regards you, sitting next to her. Well, that's much appreciated, Nephra. Although most people usually take their clothes off before they wash them. But, I mean, washing the two seems to save time. I'm sure that there's a method to this, Matt, you're doing.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of the plan, but I think the DM just kind of had his own train of thought that he was really set on. So yeah.
Okay.
Oof.
Oof.
Ouch.
All right, I'll take it. Roll D20.
Strong for the
It's
throat.
I'm kidding.
Roll your punishment die.
Right? No, I wouldn't do that to you. But Quillith looks at you. So I hear you sent on a mission, Nephra.
Yeah, yes. We did. It was a success. We all came back. We didn't all come back. I said that wrong. Sorry. We came back. Yes. Just
Strong.
takes another bite of the stew.
Nia kind of pipes up at this point. What do you mean by Nephra? Did something happen?
No. No. Silent. You know Silent. Everybody knows Silent. Oh, what a guy. Can you believe him? He is just
A guy.
so great. Anywho, I can't think right now. The point is, Silent, definitely totally came back with us, but they had to leave again. And so that's why Silent wasn't here when we came back.
Oh.
And I'll tell you one more thing. This stew is delicious. It's very good.
So, have I like finished changing at this point?
I would assume, yeah. It doesn't take you
And
too
then
long.
am I
to-
anywhere near this train wreck?
No, no. Would you be?
Like internal
I
screaming.
don't know. I'd be
Oh,
heading. I'd
oh.
have to head back towards my clothes at some point. So I don't know
That's
if this is
fair.
on the way.
You would know. You would know it takes a while. And think about it. Would David go to the mess hall first, or would he visit Doctor Rykov first?
I'd make sure my clothes aren't on the rack anymore, at least.
Would he eat a meal or would he eat a snack?
Right. Hey, it's
I'm just not sure if it's on the way.
no.
Okay.
Mess hall is one deck below the living room.
All right. Then
No,
I'm
it's-
even going up to the deck so I can grab what's remaining of my clothes. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say during this time you find that, yeah, you lost a shirt.
God damn it. I'll have to keep the one
Meanwhile-
I'm wearing then. This is what I've got left.
What 18 other shirts you have on you? I just imagine you wearing a lot of ruffly shirts all layered on top of each other, so that's why I say this.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I had the pairs. Like, I had the sets. One set for
you
each.
wanna- it's a messed up set now. It's a broken set. I can't wear this one.
Well, I just had to keep this one, not lose it. Now I can't lose this shirt because its position has to stay here. So I have to keep it clean more consistently, and I can't lose it. Throws the whole thing off.
I've heard so many of these conversations inside of Forever 21. It's
it is David in
In
a
her
whole.
as well.
David is Forever 21.
yes.
Meanwhile, Quill kind of looks at you, Lanfra, after your little explanation. It seems I need to check up on some things. Nina, enjoy your meal. Nefra,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're okay.
Thank
For
you.
what that's worth. As she gets up with her plate and kind of walks off, leaving you, Nefra, with Nina.
Why am I so
Decided-
terrible?
Because you're Nefra. It's you.
But yeah, that's me.
That's fine. You're okay just the way you are. I'm glad you're okay.
What about you? Are you doing okay? How's elf class?
I'm doing better. But she kind of like looks around briefly and kind of like motions you to come a little bit closer. So we just discovered something amazing the other day. I've been trying to find I've been trying to find the time to tell you, but I've always been with Quillith, and you've always been doing these jobs for the captain. We may have found a North Star.
A North Star? Like the North Star?
I don't know. Well, that's the thing. Everything's weird. None of the regular constellations are there. Everything seems out of place. But after all this time, we finally found one star that always seems to be in the same location every single night.
So you could potentially use that to navigate.
Yes. We're one step closer to finding out where we're going.
That's wonderful news. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. You look a bit thinner. Did everything go okay for you?
Well, I mean, yeah, this is my first time actually bothering to eat in the mess hall, so maybe I should do this more often. No, but seriously, I'm okay. It's just these jobs have been really difficult and trying, and I'm not sure how many more of them we're gonna have to do to find the answers we're looking for, and it's just really stressful. And I'm getting to know these other people, and they seem pretty nice, and I just don't. I'm starting to worry that I won't always have them around, and I don't know if I'll be okay with that.
You're talking about the three you're always with, right now?
Yeah, there's David. He's really tall and good looking, and he seems really confident with everything he says. I'm not that, so it's definitely nice to have him around. And there's Petrichor. She's really good at moving water around, and well, between you and me, I think there's a lot more to her that she hasn't really told us about yet, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. And there's Terry. You know, she rings the bell, but she's like really good at it, and she seems really happy and proud of that. So I guess I'm kind of happy that she does that too. It's weird though. It seems like some of the Derekai on the ship have been kind of giving her nasty looks, and I don't know why they're doing it, but it makes me feel angry. I don't like the way they look at her. I don't want them to do anything bad with her. I don't.
Nephra, you don't know?
Don't know what.
Well, my parents told me this because we traded with them once or twice back, back then. Apparently with the Derekai, there's kind of three sub races, if you will. You have the ones you usually interact with. I don't remember what they're called, but something Grove. It's been a while. And then you have the ones that you get nightmares or you get horror stories about. They're the ones that will come at night to take bad kids. I think they're called the Black Blooded. Terry isn't either of them. She I don't know what they call her, but for whatever Terry is, the other Derekai don't like her. It's why every time I look at her, I feel a little bit sad. I feel like she's alone. So when I heard that she was with your group and you all started doing missions together, I felt happier that not only you but her could have, at the very least, be working with people. But I'm worried now, and I haven't noticed that. We did get some of the horror store variety of Derekai with the trading of crews with the ashes the other day. Other than that, I hope they're not planning to do anything. Usually there are some times where you just hear about these things that some of them do. But I think she'll be fine, right? She has you three to take care of. I think we lost Dylan.
Uh-oh.
Dylan?
He's not
Tragic
blinking.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not
He's
blinking.
shut down.
He's processing. Oh, we lost him.
Ruh-roh, oh no.
Quick, someone take a screen cap of this. and put the meme time to hack over it. Do it for me. All right. Oh, there we go.
Time to hack.
All right. Hopefully, I'm not sure how much he didn't get, but regardless, let's go over to David. David, what would you?
Well, I'm presuming the. Hold on, I am trying to fix the overlay. So you have asked me something at the very wrong time.
Okay.
As
Then I'll defer over to Terry and with the company of Calvin.
tried to say like now, I'm trying to look at things like chat, and I got this thing. It's all a bad
No worries.
time.
Yes. So you were leading Calvin down to show him where Nephra sleeps, right?
Wait, what? Oh.
Yes. So you all kind of go there. When you pass by several people you know, and several people you don't know from the ashes who were kind of brought over. As you're about to go into the men's room, you do see a couple of the people there kind of just relaxing for a little bit during their breaks for whatever job they have. Kind of just stop and stare as you enter in. It's very unorthodox for someone of the opposite gender to be in one of the sleeping quarters. Usually it's discouraged, especially during the nighttime. But in this case, they also see the child, so they're perplexed, but they don't stop you. As you go in there, and a question to the both of you: do either of you know where or Nephra sleeps?
Why would we?
I'm sure if we ask around, they'd be able to direct us because everyone knows the kid, the person who drops their glaive or sword every morning and wakes everybody up.
That's their alarm clock.
Yeah, exactly. They should know where he is.
Okay.
All right. So, do you ask some of the people in there?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Go ahead and make me a D20 roll.
Okay. It's 7.
7.
Do I add anything to it?
No.
Okay.
Actually, that's exactly the roll I was hoping.
Oh, great.
As you're looking around to ask where Nephra's bed is, you look around and immediately you see a person walk in. This person has dark hair going down to the bottom of his shoulder blades. Some scars here and there on his arm, about medium height. Not looking overly angry, but just looking serious and firm. With the marks hidden, or the faint marks of a Daybreak on his face.
Oh boy.
Now,
Well,
just note to you, Petrichor, this is just
Yeah.
a regular person of the crew for you.
oh. Well, would I have seen that Terry got upset by this person's presence earlier? These people's presence?
With your, I'm gonna say with your passive perception, you might have seen the instance where Terry was staring down that one man, the quartermaster from the Ashes. However, you never really noticed these Daybreak looking at her.
Okay.
But he is the most readily available person there.
Okay. I'll ask. I mean, I'll just go up myself and ask him
Mm-hmm.
and be like, excuse me, do you happen to know where the red-skinned tiefling sleeps? He drops his glaive every morning, loud noise, everybody up.
Oh, that kid. Right. I think he's over there somewhere. And as he looks up, it's as if he hasn't seen Terry yet. But
Yeah.
the minute he looks up and starts to point, he locks eyes with you, Terry. As he kind of stops. I'm sorry, I gotta go. As he
Oh.
walks away.
Thanks for the help.
Yeah.
At least he left.
Terry, from that close proximity, you can tell he is black-blooded Derek.
I'm black-blooded. I'm black-blooded.
You're on a roll today.
Take that bard, man.
But yes, he abruptly walks away. But you do catch that as he's about to walk out of the threat. Kind of sneaks one last look before continuing forward.
Well, I guess we better get on to see if there's anybody else who'd be able to answer a question. But he said it was over in this direction, so let's go this way.
Okay.
By the way, I'm actually heading back to my quarters once I actually get my clothes back.
Alright, so at this point, I'm going to say you see Terry and Petrichor kind of just hanging out inside his quarters, with Calvin kind of just looking around confused.
I still have like it's still the pretty wet / damp clothes, like just kind of
Yes.
hanging out, but I'm just kind of like, so, having fun, looking for some men of the night. Oh.
Nope.
Oh.
Let me switch that back over.
Hey! No, it's fine. No, you're good. Continue.
No, switching the thing back over. But yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, look, that's statement still stands. So it's directed to you two, Terry and Petrichor.
Yes. Well, we're just trying to find this kid a bed, and we know that, Calvin to be cleaned to Nephra as of current, so we're just trying to find where Nephra's so we can kind of put his bed next to him.
Oh, I'm unsure of that, but so you've given him a nice trim.
Yeah,
Looking
Terry
good.
did a fantastic job.
I didn't take you for one of the hair, but good on you. Here, come on, I'll show you Nephra's bed.
Thank you. Finally,
I'm just kind of like, still like somewhat loosely holding the coat and hat.
By the way, David, when you were walking into the room, someone kind of just rushed past you and kind of shoulder checked you unconsciously as they were walking away from the room. As you were coming in, they seemed pretty rushed, but you just figured he needed to be somewhere.
Nobody touches me without me getting a good look at them as they go by.
Okay, go ahead and make a perception check.
Whether or not it ends well is the question, but I make the attempt one way or the other.
Okay. What you do? What you get?
And this attempt is a 15.
A 15, that's not bad. You see dark hair going down to around where the shoulder blades are. Medium build, or medium height, I should say. Kind of a serious expression on his face. Mostly now more panicky in a way, but not too overtly so. And with the faint hint of the stripes of a Derekai on his face. As he's quickly making his way down the hall. And soon he's out of your sight. And then fast forward to where you talk to Petrichor and
By the way,
And
any of you disgruntled one of our new, but I think it was a Derekai.
We were talking to that guy, and then I don't know.
Oh, that guy?
Yeah, Terry or something, and then just all of a sudden abruptly got up and walked away. I don't know. Terry, do you know anything about that?
Don't worry about that. Let's just say we have our differences.
Did
Okay.
you as well with the other person on the other ship?
Sure.
Why do you think... How do any of you mate if you all hate each other?
No. They all just hate me. There's a difference.
Do you know each other? What?
Pretty racist of you to think we all just know each other.
I was waiting.
That's my point! Is you don't! So this makes no sense!
The ins and outs of Barakai nature are a bit hard to explain.
Which is why
Okay,
I will
everyone
continue
hates
to
me.
question the Daybreak procreation practices until I get an answer.
Look, how much do you know about Barakai nature?
I've learned way more than I ever knew.
Terry, do you
I don't know.
explain to
What do
him-
I know about Daybreak nature?
Well, considering since you you lived in the Kingdom of Morin before this, they're not really prominent there. Go ahead and make me a basic intelligence check.
Sure. I hit my pile of dice upon rolling this.
I'm proud of you.
Yes. 15 again.
15?
Yes.
Okay, you know the rudimentary. As far as you knew, there was only really two sub races for Daybreak. One seems more friendlier to the general populace than the other. The other one, you would know. You actually would know the Black-blooded Daybreak more, mainly because they have this thing where they have to kill a certain amount of people every year.
And which one is
Okay.
Terry?
Terry appears to be neither, as her white hair and the distinct paleness of her contradicts everything else from the other Daybreak.
Hmm.
And you just realize this after
So what
spending some
makes you
time with...
different? This Terry.
And what?
I don't know. You don't share many of the characteristics of many of the Daybreak.
Well, I'm very, very special.
Indeed.
An abomination, depending on who you talk to.
Why would they think that?
There are, we'll say, people. Rules were, put this delicately, complete another bullshit.
Oh my.
These rules only exist to hinder ourselves and progress. So, a group decided, let's everyone else really likes these rules so much that they're going to shun anyone who doesn't like these rules. Quick explanation for you.
Are you insinuating, Terry, that you are not full-blooded?
The Daybreak, how dare you, sir? I just as rules heavy.
Interesting. I wish to know more in the future. But
Feel free to ask any of the other Daybreak about me. I'm sure they'll describe me in very colorful terms.
well, based on I don't need to be told of your character since I know it's goodness and by practice. It may be interesting to see that, actually. You may be onto something. For me to know more about how they think of you, hearing it from them is possibly the best way. I can solve this
There you go.
mystery of mine.
There is that, what did David... You can ask him.
I definitely will keep in mind of that as he bumped me on the way up. He ran away like he'd seen a murder.
He's one of those guys who likes the rules.
am intrigued to find out more about these rules. But for now,
I don't follow the rules. I couldn't tell you.
well, more importantly, let's get him to Nephra's bed.
All right.
Do me a favor and don't tell him where he's here.
As you all make your way towards the bed.
Aren't there children by the women's quarters?
Yes.
Would he not be fitting there with the others?
He can't sleep
Well-
with me because I'm more afraid of him falling off.
But there are other children there. They must
I
be
mean-
with someone. They do not all have mothers.
No, I mean he'll be fine staying with me. I just know he prefers Nephra.
Well, that's not my concern. I feel like there's the potential of just
They're both somewhat red.
him being able to be with other children more often if he is in the other quarters.
I mean,
We can't teach him about manly things.
There are
shame.
other boys in that
I
cabin
mean-
too. They face the same problem. We will deal with this in the evening.
Calvin is
He'll
like
stay
this the
with-
entire time, by the
He'll
way.
stay with Nephra in the evening. We will
see
explore.
everything?
We will explore the other options tomorrow.
Right there.
We'll explore the
Whether or
other
not he
options.
understands it all is
Yeah.
a different thing.
We'll explore the other options tomorrow. But for now, for tonight, he'll sleep with Nephra, and then we'll figure out getting him inclined with all the other children tomorrow. That way, you can make some friends, and hopefully, you don't have to listen to us all the time. As exhilarating as that sounds.
valid.
As you guys are slowly just making your way towards Nephra's bed and having this conversation, Patricor, you stop.
Mm.
As you happen to see with your passive perception, this person you recognize as a person who usually works the night shift, usually just surveying, who would be one of the people who would have reported to Silent.
Mhm.
Kind of like toss over in his sleep, as they usually sleep around these hours.
Oh, true.
As you see him turn over, you see his face is covered in sweat, and he seems to be muttering something in his sleep. But that's not the thing that catches you, that catches your attention. Actually, the thing that catches your attention immediately, with almost a sudden deadly seriousness to it, is the fact that all over his face, you could see a violet tinge to every single one of his veins.
Off the boat!
As that's where we're gonna end the session for today.
Throw him off the boat!
Nice run. Yeah, fun while it lasted.
Oh, give it jeez.
And burn the boat down.
He's fine.
Burn it down! Everybody
He's-
flee!
All right. So, happy birthday, Calvin.
Woohoo, Calvin! It's your birthday.
Happy birthday!
Oh man. Congrats, guys.
Can't have one
You-
day, can we?
No. It's a never-ending cycle. Yeah, there's a series of events that are just about to happen that you guys are gonna have tons of. Or at least I am.
Weather.
But yes, that's our session for tonight. Thank you for joining us. As always, we'll be here next week, hopefully, if I'm not too murdered by the process of moving. So you're gonna see me in a different location next week,
Hey!
Woo!
right? That might work or might not. We'll find out.
And we may or may not record a podcast this week. That's also dependent on this whole moving thing.
Right?
Oh
Here's
my.
hoping. Here's hoping it all doesn't suck. What was that, Jade? Jade, if you,
Oh.
I can't hear anything you're
Didn't hear
saying.
anything either.
I was reciting.
Ah,
Alright,
no
well,
worries.
We will see you
Bye.
tomorrow.
About this podcast. What is this podcast you guys keep talking about?
I highly recommend the oh my god, I forgot the name of our podcast. Oh no. Have
Alright.
that type.
Down in the link below, you will see
Yes.
our link,
The
link
Tilted
to our
Roll
YouTube
podcast.
page with the Tilted Roll podcast.
I severely recommend the latest one because that, in my opinion.
Yes. Our
So
last
far.
one was very good. We discussed Pokemon. We had a failed video capture. It was really good times.
And I died. Regardless, you all for joining. We'll see you all tomorrow for another exciting episode of the Ever-Crescent Moon.
That's right.
There's a gnat
prepared.
that's gonna die.
We
Get
may
'em.
be prepared. Tomorrow,
We
we will roll initiatives.
Bye.